All right, welcome to the Sports Guys, another edition of our on-campus review series, and coming off another incredible week of sports. Every time I think college football can't get better, there's just so many great games. You can't follow them all. It's nuts. We had 5 different teams eliminated from the playoff essentially this weekend. One maybe, and the other 4 for sure. So, how you doing, Robbie?
And a bunch of almost did. Like
Yeah, exactly.
super late in the game, the winning team is or the team that's hanging on by a thread for the playoff is
Right,
losing.
right.
I'm doing great. Had an awesome weekend. Got to be with the family a lot and just had a lot of fun stuff. And we had a big victory in our last baseball game. So Brock had an awesome 1-run inning pitching, and Connor had some good stuff, good runs, and we blew him out 19-4. So that was
That's great.
felt real good. Good
That's
end to the
awesome.
season. Yep,
So happy they won their last 2. That's great.
me too.
So any big
Yeah.
themes come for you out of the college football weekend and any big stuff there? And also, what are you most
Uh,
excited about college basketball starting tonight?
there was a lot of almost parity in college
Mhm.
and very exciting games. Um, some some teams have emerged as the clear favorites. I think the final everyone wants to see is Ohio State, Indiana.
Mhm.
Um, and then of course Texas A&M would argue about that, of course. And then there's a couple other teams that would be real intriguing.
Mhm.
But I think that there definitely is a separation happening um, with the top level. The top 4 to 5 teams have kind of separated from the top
Mhm.
25.
I agree. And really, it's the top 3 for me. I mean, to me, the top
Yeah,
3 are clearly better than everybody else. I mean,
pretty
even
much.
Georgia's been struggling on offense for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
They're not impressive at all. They struggled again this week. They barely won.
I think
Alabama,
Alabama's better than Georgia.
Alabama's better than Georgia. I
I
agree.
think so. I
But
think Alabama's right there below Oregon,
mhm.
which are right below Texas A&M.
But I think Texas A&M is the best team in the SEC. It's pretty
But would
clear.
it shock you completely if Oregon beat Indiana?
No,
It wouldn't shock me. It might surprise me a little because I think Indiana and Ohio State are headed for each other, but they could be derailed.
they could. I mean, Indiana beat Oregon already once this year. They would
I
have
know.
revenge in their minds. It's hard to beat a good team
Yeah,
twice.
that's right.
So, and then in the ACC, we thought Georgia Tech was headed to the playoff. We thought they were, a top 5 team potentially. What I notice is, other than those top 3 we talked about, everybody else keeps falling out and losing. And it's just nobody can stay in the top 10. It's really crazy to
Yeah,
watch. And
it
Georgia
is.
Tech flames out against NC State. NC State played an incredible game.
They did.
Their best game in probably 2 or 3 years,
That's
I thought, on both sides of the ball. CJ Bailey's a 19-year-old kid, and for him to play like that against Georgia Tech, it was impressive. It was. So it was fun. And then
Same. Look,
college basketball, man, I am so pumped. I am so pumped for college basketball to kick off tonight. Virginia plays Rider, and we have a couple of other ACC teams in action. So let's go jump into the scores. All right, let's do a shout out to our sponsor for tonight, and that is Jersey Mike's. We absolutely love Jersey Mike's as a family. We go all the time. I went twice this weekend, as a matter of fact. How you doing, Robbie?
doing great. Yeah, Jersey Mike's is the best. We do our weekend ritual usually after baseball or basketball, and we sometimes do a second time that week. Helps us not cook, has great ingredients. The family loves it. They're not super picky, but a little picky sometimes, and they love Jersey Mike's. And it's just such an easy call.
We always talk about, my favorite was always the number 13, which is the original Italian. Yours was the number 17, the steak
Yeah,
and cheese. I've come to like the 17 so much, I can't really decide between the two. So I kind of go back and forth. But
yeah.
it's just so fresh. The people are so friendly. They're literally so convenient. They're everywhere. And highly encourage you guys to go check out a Jersey Mike's in your location tonight, or go to jerseymikes.com or download their app. You can order a sandwich. You can use Uber Eats. A lot of different ways you can try it tonight, but definitely take your family there. You'll really enjoy it.
It's a sub above.
Sub above. Have a good night. All right, so tonight we're calling our playoff crash outs. This is our episode 82 on-campus review. A couple of the crash outs you'll see here to the left. What an incredible game, Robbie, in the
Yeah.
SEC with Texas versus Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt hasn't been taken this seriously in many, many decades. We're not talking a couple of years. We're talking like 40 years. And they come into this game with a lot of momentum. They end up going down pretty heavily at halftime, and then Texas scores 2 more touchdowns in the third quarter and has a 34-10 lead going into the fourth quarter. And Vanderbilt finds a way to scratch and claw their way back with Diego Pavia, leads 3 touchdown drives in the fourth quarter, makes it a game. And they do the onside kick, and the onside kick goes through 4 different guys' hands on the way out of bounds. So they almost had their hands on it to try to win it. But
Yeah.
thoughts about that game, and what were your overall impressions of?
That was about as close of an onside kick as you're going to see not get recovered.
Yep,
Texas defense was the difference.
they were.
Six sacks.
Mhm.
And overall, if you step back from the game a little, it was excellent quarterback play.
It was.
You haven't had a whole lot of accolades for Arch Manning this year, rightly so. He's had a tough year, but this was his best game, I think. I
I think so
mean,
too. He
it,
was steady. He was
he looked
steady.
steady. He looked in control. He looked like the leader who's starting to take control of this team as the season is sort of far along. Do I
He
expect
also,
huge improvement of him this year? Not really, but I feel like he's just going to slowly keep taking control of the job.
you know what I think is a really good sign for Texas and for Arch Manning is he threw it to 10 different receivers. I think
Yeah.
that's a really good sign for him. He's starting to really
Yep.
distribute now. So, and they got a little bit of a running game going. The running game has been a little disappointing this year. They got
Yep.
that going. Are any concern about that kind of almost collapse in the fourth quarter?
Yeah. I mean, but look, Pavia is one of the best quarterbacks in the country, in my opinion. I put
He
him in the
is.
top four. So
Mhm.
I'm not surprised. He's got weapons. Um, Eli Stowers had 146 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns.
Mhm.
And like you said, Texas really moved the ball around to a lot of different people,
They
which
did.
was good to see. But Vanderbilt has strike capability. They have sort of a way of hitting fast and
Mhm.
very athletically. And so I think Texas's D had their hands full more than most teams they've had this year. But they definitely got a lot of pressure on Pavia, and that was the difference because I think he would have led back. He would have led a successful comeback if he had been given a
Right.
little bit longer.
100% agree. And I think Arch Manning did have his best game, but I think Pavia is the better quarterback out of the two.
I agree. I
I
would
think
take
Pavia
Pavia,
outplayed him.
at least
And
as of right now. I'm
right,
not going to rule out Arch Manning being pretty good next year.
but I would say
Um,
Texas has the better defense of the two. So
oh, no question. They
yeah,
they were the difference because Vanderbilt's offense was better than Texas's
right,
offense. So
100%. So that
yeah,
game felt like a playoff game because
yeah,
everyone knew going into it, whoever lost that game was going to get knocked out of the SEC race.
it
And
was
so
awesome.
it looks like now Vanderbilt has been flamed out of the playoff contention. To the right
And
of that is another game that was very exciting. NC State takes down Georgia Tech, who came
oh
into
yeah,
this game 8-0. And again, I haven't seen NC State play a game this complete in a long time. It was really exciting. This backup running back, Scott, who came in for Hollywood Smothers, was just
yeah.
absolutely fantastic. He was the running
Oh,
back of the week in the ACC. So,
it was unbelievable.
yeah. So, any thoughts on that game?
He was 24 for 196 rushing yards and a touchdown.
Any
196.
Any thoughts on how they pulled that game off? I mean, it seemed like their defense played really well too. They have that linebacker who's really
I
fantastic.
think they were the better team on that night. And
Yeah.
it's funny because they did that to Virginia. They were the better team when they played Virginia.
Hmm.
I'm
Yep.
not going to say they've done that in every game all year, but they have the
Well,
ability. Doran's a good coach, and when he
mhm.
gets his guys clicking, they're one of the more dangerous teams in the country.
He got ACC Coach of the Week. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, he did a good job. I wouldn't want to play NC State if I had nothing riding on it because they're going to
Mhm.
jump up and bite you.
That's true. That's very true.
Ma- If you if
Congratulations,
you're
NC State.
if you're Ohio State and you're playing them in a playoff, you'll probably wipe the floor with them.
Mhm.
But if it's just some in-between matchup, they could beat almost anybody in the country.
So the reason that Georgia Tech coming out of this game is really hurt by this and could potentially be a crash out, although it's not guaranteed, is because now they're sitting in fourth in the ACC. They get knocked down one peg after this one loss and now don't control their destiny like they did before. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean they can't still get there. They can, but they
They might
could
get in,
potentially.
but yeah, now they're relying on people to get in.
And they have some tough games coming up. They got Georgia. They got some really tough games that could be a loss. So they're a potential crash out. Vanderbilt's definitely a crash out. Another crash out was Tennessee. You see there on the bottom left, they played Oklahoma. This was a fantastic SEC game, 33-27. It just was kind of thing where
Yeah.
the last team that got the ball, and that's what happened. Oklahoma drove down, scored a touchdown with about a minute left to win 33-27, and
Yeah.
gave Tennessee another loss they couldn't afford to have. And now they're going to get knocked out of the playoff
Yeah,
contention.
they're definitely out because they're in the SEC. It's just
What do you think of
there's
Mateer
no
and the
room.
boys getting this one done at Tennessee? I mean, that's a tough place to play.
First of all, when I was scanning this game, I had to do a double take on those Tennessee uniforms.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, what is
Yeah,
that? Who is that?
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what a great game. You know, uh, I think Tennessee put up a good fight, but Oklahoma moving to SEC along with Texas, that really made the SEC more interesting.
Man,
And
it's
and
so
Oklahoma's
stacked now.
back. They're a pretty
Yeah,
solid program now.
they are. They really are playing well.
They're back
And
to
they've put
fun.
themselves in position now. They could possibly be that fourth or fifth
Yeah.
team in the SEC.
And
So
I
they're in some.
think going forward, they might end up being higher on the hierarchy of
Mhm.
SEC teams than Tennessee going forward. You know what I mean? So we'll
They
see.
were uh, they were saying in volunteer world how depressed they were about this because they said essentially Oklahoma got the ball at their 12-yard line, drove the length of the field. All Tennessee had to do was stop them, and
Yep.
they couldn't, and so that's kind of their whole season. So,
Yeah.
and then another game to the right there, another exciting ACC matchup, SMU and Kevin Jennings. You and I in the preseason show we talked about Kevin Jennings as one of the real exciting players in the ACC. He led his team to the ACC championship last year, and they came up and bit Miami, and Miami has now lost 2 out of 3, and they're now out of the playoff contention. They basically don't have a path to get there. So, any thoughts about the Miami crash out?
I think it was pretty surprising, honestly, but I've been a little surprised at SMU having some struggles this year. I thought really highly of them in the beginning of the year. So if you had told me in the beginning of the year that they'd beat Miami, it wouldn't have surprised me. But watching it unfold, where, Miami's ranked and SMU's not, I think SMU should be ranked. So I don't think this should be considered such an upset. But in terms of the way things were sitting, it's an upset. Um,
What do you think
but
about all
but
the all the
but it came down to Carson Beck turning the ball over.
What do
That's
you think
really,
about the memes that are out there coming out of that game? There were a lot of memes about, okay, now we're back to Carson back, and we're back to Georgia back, and all this kind of
I
stuff about he
I
basically he can't get it done at the really critical moments.
I don't agree. I think that's overly simplistic and not fair. It's fair to criticize him, but not to say he'll never, all this stuff.
Right.
He played relatively okay, except for a couple of moments where it just but his numbers aren't bad. He's got a lot of weapons on Miami, but let's face it, SMU's loaded,
They are
and
loaded. They're a really
they
good team.
um they defied my theory, throwing the ball. Kevin Jennings
Yes.
29 of 44,
Yep.
and they got the win. So good for them. But Carson Beck threw almost as many, so 38 times. That can negate that as a factor.
Yep.
But SMU just they couldn't really run the ball, which is very strange, but
Yeah.
I think they're a really tough team, and Jennings is a good quarterback, and I think I've been surprised at some of their struggles this year, to be honest.
This was absolutely crushing for Miami, though. This is a team that looks
Yeah,
at
it
itself
was.
as a top 5 team, and they just haven't been playing like it the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So You look to the right there, the top 25 teams that lost this week. We already mentioned the 4, and then we also had Cincinnati, who was in essentially a playoff game in the Big 12. Whoever won that game, them and Utah was going to end up being in the Big 12 driver's seat. And Cincinnati got absolutely blitzed by Utah.
Yeah, they got handled.
It was really surprising. And Cincinnati has a really good quarterback too. And the other team that inexplicably lost to an unranked team was Houston, who had been playing so well, and people thought might be lined up for that number 12 at-large bid.
I think Houston and Cincinnati both got a little bit overrated.
Right.
A little bit, not a lot. West Virginia is a dangerous team, and it just happens.
What's crazy is all 6 of these teams now have been knocked out of the playoff except for Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is the only one that has a path, and that's why we're calling it playoff crash outs. So let's take a look at the scores here. We got Memphis. After their crushing loss last week, they go to 8-1. They're probably going to assume that number 12 spot favorite now that Houston's crashed out. They kind of take care of it.
You know what's funny about this game? I take notes on every game pretty much. And I was just looking at it, and there was just no notes to take. It was just like it was a whooping by a better team.
Memphis was just better. I mean,
they're just a better team.
Yeah.
All phases, all 3 phases, just a better team, better athletes. I'm sure Rice is full of intelligent football players that are good student athletes, but they're just not as athletic, and they got kind of steamrolled. And I feel like Memphis could have run it up if they wanted.
You know what I noticed is in this game is that Memphis, they can play with the big boys, right? And then they play a team that like Rice, they were blowing them off the ball. They were pancaking them, and it just wasn't fair. So
there wasn't much noteworthy in that game, is what I'm trying to say.
This next game, we circled this game at the beginning of the year, and we even talked about it because we thought these 2 guys would be in the top 2 or 3 teams in the league. Julian Sayin, I have to say, just looks better and better and better every week. This is a very young kid, first-time starter, and he just looked fantastic in this game. And Penn State just looked really out of their element and over their skis in this one. What are your thoughts about Ohio State taking care of business?
It was a full manhandling in all phases. Grunkemeyer had negative 39 yards rushing, which just tells you the level of. That means that he tried to run. Those aren't sacks. Those are attempted runs that lost yardage. It's not really his fault by any stretch. Ohio State whipped them up and down all 3 phases. Sayin was almost perfect, 20 of 23, 316 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, 99.1 QBR. I think that's the highest. I think that's the highest I've seen all year, 99.1.
And then all of a sudden they have this kid, Bo Jackson, out of nowhere, who's running the ball like crazy. So he's got a running game now, and now he's got play action. And then I wanted to ask you, Robbie, what do you think of? Don't you think Carnell Tate would be the best receiver in the country?
My main notes are that Tate and Smith were just NFL players out there in college uniforms.
But wouldn't Tate be the best receiver in the country if it weren't for Smith, who's on his own team?
Yeah, no, that's right.
He's unbelievable.
Right. Jeremiah Smith might not be better than Carnell Tate. It's possible. It's possible that they have the 2 best wide receivers in the country on the same team.
I was watching this game thinking to myself, you know what? Julian's saying, I'm not sure he realizes how good these receivers are, because one day when he's in the pros and he's playing for like the Raiders or something, he's going to be wishing he had these 2 guys.
Or the Steelers.
Or the Steelers or something. And I was thinking, who is the other tandem you can think of that are this good? And I was thinking maybe, Jamar
Cincinnati,
Chase,
maybe.
Or maybe Jamar Chase and Jefferson when they were both at LSU together.
Oh, you mean in college?
In college. I mean, the other
you'd have to go to LSU or you'd have to go to Alabama back in the day.
Yeah.
A few years ago.
I'm thinking Jefferson and Jamar Chase were probably the greatest ever. And this tandem might be number 2. It's possible.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, Ohio State just rolls on. Penn State, playing with an interim coach.
But I could honestly go on and on about the stats,
Yeah.
how much they favored Ohio State. I'm not surprised about this outcome at all. I think I was pretty horrified at the beginning of the year at some of the people I really respect in this business, who are saying Penn State's going to win the national title. And I was just scratching my head, like, what am I missing? I don't see that. I don't, it's
Hmm.
not that I don't, it's not that they've lost their coach now and they've lost some games and all that. And now I've come to the realization that they're not good. So now I'm saying no. It's back then they didn't look like it to me.
You know what's crazy, Robbie? Bo Jackson was named after Bo Jackson. Okay. His dad
Yeah,
was a huge Auburn fan. And Bo Jackson, the father, tried to get his son recruited by Auburn and they wouldn't take him. And now he's playing for Ohio State.
it's
I'm
crazy.
like, how do you think they're feeling now? They wouldn't take Bo Jackson, who was named for Bo Jackson.
I don't know.
Crazy.
Yeah,
So what about Indiana? I mean, how do they keep scoring 55, 63, 72?
I
Like
love
this
it.
used to be a defensive team. Like what is going on with this team? It's crazy.
It's it's a phenomenal program now. The coach has set the culture of, I believe, a bunch of workaholic type coaches with maximum
Mhm.
um and if you listen to Signetti, he's fascinating with
Mhm.
not letting them get comfortable after a big win.
Mhm.
And I've never seen something more hilarious than I think it was last week.
Yeah. He looks
Maybe it
so
was last week
depressed. Yeah.
when Indiana scored a touchdown and they panned to Signetti and he was furious about something and he was red faced and he was scowling and you could tell how much somebody had missed a block or something, but it didn't matter. They scored, but he was just mad about whatever got missed. Like he's such a perfectionist.
And I know you've
Um,
always loved Signetti from the
yeah,
JMU days. We went and witnessed him a couple of years ago. They actually beat our Cavaliers in Charlottesville. It was really brutal.
yeah.
It was a last minute 45-42 kind of
Well, it was
game. But
crazy. We were winning, and then there was
yeah,
a lightning
right,
thunderstorm
right,
delay, and then they came out of the locker room and destroyed us. And it was
right.
it was so much. It was
But
so Kurt Signetti.
but we kind of saw this coming last year when you could
Yeah.
see he really had improved the program. They didn't quite get
Yeah.
there, but they really improved a lot. But did you really see 9-0, 6-0 in the Big Ten coming? Did you really see that?
Mm, no.
No, I mean this is year two, and now he's competing for national
I
championships.
think
It's
I think
insane.
I saw it as a possibility, but not a probability. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I can't say that I absolutely did, but anyway, he's
Anything
phenomenal.
else? Anything else in the stats come out for you here?
Uh,
55-10.
First downs 28 to 11, rushing
Mhm.
yards 367 to 37.
Good Lord,
I mean,
this is domination.
yeah. What's funny is Alberto Gonzalez Mendoza
Hmm.
came in and threw a touchdown. His brother.
Hmm.
He's the backup quarterback. So
They
Fernando,
say Mendoza
Fernando
now.
Mendo Mendoza is one of the top two quarterbacks in my book.
They say he's moved up now into the top five picks next year. That's how
Yeah,
much he's grown this year. It's pretty
yeah.
incredible.
Because Signetti has a hold of him and he's teaching him how to like be steady and consistent.
Yeah,
And I heard him talking about stats, something like he's had like two bad passes in the last
right.
couple of games. Signetti is challenging him to do better. Like what? But anyway,
So this
yeah,
next game, happens every year in Jacksonville. They call it the largest outdoor cocktail
yeah,
party, and it's just a huge party. These two fan bases really travel, and they all go to Jacksonville, and they have a great time. And you just have to give Florida a lot of credit. They're playing for an interim coach,
yep,
and they mucked this game up. They played great defense. They ran the ball. They made a couple plays through the air, and they made this a really uncomfortable situation for Georgia. And they
they
were
did.
winning this game 20-17 until 2 minutes left in the game, and Georgia ripped off a really long touchdown run to win the game. But Georgia really struggled in this game. It looked like they might go down. So, any thoughts about what's wrong with Georgia's offense?
I was impressed with how hard they fought. I have this year been very they were my biggest surprise of the year is how bad Florida has been.
Mhm.
I feel like they have so much talent that it's hard to
Mhm.
explain why they're so bad. DJ Lagway is a good quarterback. I don't really
Mhm.
know. There's been a couple of teams in the last few years that have reminded me of this. Um, but at the end of the day, it feels like the Gators should have won a lot more games than 3-5.
100%.
Uh,
They should have won this game. If you
yeah,
really look at
so
the game, they should have won this game.
they had to fire their coach because of their performances, but they have talent on the team. Like they've recruited well. I'm not really sure why it just didn't gel.
But to go
But
back to the question, why is Georgia's offense struggling? They can't really run the ball very well, other than they had the one big run. Stockton is efficient, but he's nothing special. He's just kind of okay.
yeah, he's pretty
Um,
good. Um,
they can be run on. Florida ran a lot on them. Um, I don't know. I'm struggling to understand how Georgia is a championship contender this year. I just don't see
I
it.
will tell you, I don't think their offensive line is as dominant as we've seen over the last 5 years.
Hmm.
And defensively, Tom, 0 sacks,
I
nothing.
know. I know.
Georgia's loaded with NFL talent.
Right.
No sacks,
I
nothing,
know.
not even a sniff.
Because they usually set themselves up on offense a lot with their defense, with
Yeah, the
turnovers.
defense goes
Yeah.
out there and puts the offense in an amazing position. They give it to them on the 8 yard line or something, and
So
then they pound it in.
they're number five. They're 7-1. They're 5-1 in the SEC. They're still in position, but they have not been playing well. I mean, it's as simple as
No,
that. They're
that's right.
not playing dominant football. So we'll see if
Yeah,
they
neither
can.
side of the ball is that impressive. I mean, defensively or offensively, but I think Gunnar Stockton's a little underrated. I think he's pretty good.
I think he's pretty good, but
Uh,
he's nothing
but I
special.
don't. I
Yeah.
think they have holes on this team. I think they have problems, but they're a little better than they were last year. I think.
He
I think
doesn't
they're a
look
little
like
better.
Mendoza. He doesn't look like Pavia. He doesn't look like some of those top
Yeah,
guys. He just doesn't.
I
He
agree.
looks like he's developing, though. He is definitely developing.
I
This
think
ne-
they're just kind of an overall pretty good SEC team, and I think
yeah.
they're going to go to the playoff, and I think they're going to probably lose in the first week, but
This next game, Ole Miss just kind of put the clamps on South Carolina. Again, South Carolina's been really struggling to score points this year. Lenoris Sellers has not been what we thought he would be. He struggled again in this game. The pass rush was crazy. Ole
yeah.
Miss ran the ball really, really well with this kid Lacey, and
Hmm.
I never felt like it was in doubt. You just South Carolina is not what they were last year. So thoughts
Yeah,
about
their
this game?
offense struggled. Defensively, Ole Miss really brought it. 6 sacks, two picks, and a fumble recovery.
Hmm.
And Trinidad Chambliss was a dual threat. He got
Hmm.
a lot going on both offensively,
You did.
running and throwing the ball. So they just never really had a chance, even though South Carolina has a lot of athletes.
Yeah. Do you feel like all these games are kind of like Lane Kiffin interviewing for all these positions that are open? It feels like he's been rumored to
Maybe.
every single position. But
I know that's the rumors. Well, I don't know.
Shane Beamer, for the first time ever, seemed very chippy after the game. I think he really feels like his, you know, hold on that program is kind of slipping away a little bit, and he really was
Yeah.
kind of irritated after this one. Like he feels like his team's not competing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. This has been a
I
big
think he
surprise for
I
me
think he
so far.
feels like I think he feels like he might have gotten whipped a little in the recruiting this year.
Maybe,
Like
maybe
it's
that's
not as good a team as what South Carolina's been putting out there for the last few years.
Ole Miss is
So,
in fantastic position for the playoff.
mm,
They're likely going
yeah,
to make it now, and they're in really good.
8-1, 5-1 in the SEC.
We talked about this game. I thought Haynes King played really well, so it wasn't really on him. I think the story of the game was NC State's defense at times was really good, and this kid Scott was just incredible out of the backfield with Hollywood Smothers out for the season.
Yeah,
And then CJ Bailey was particularly good. I hadn't seen him play like that before.
he was
So
good. No turnovers, steady. They had a good balanced attack, and they made big plays. Sometimes in these big games, people go into a little bit of a shell, and
mhm.
NC State made some big plays, and it benefited them greatly, and they pulled it off. And I think that they kind of punched Georgia Tech in the mouth, and Georgia Tech tried to respond, but really couldn't. Haynes King, had a pretty good game.
He had a good game. He did.
He had a good game. It's just NC State wanted it. You could just see it, but
Mhm.
he had 103 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns.
I
Like
know.
he did some damage. He's a
And he had
good quarterback.
408 yards passing.
Mhm.
so,
Mhm.
so no, I felt like Georgia Tech's defense got exposed in this game.
Yep. I was about to say.
And I'm just imagining if they played like a Texas A&M, it would not be really pretty. Um,
Yeah.
or one of
I
those
don't think
teams
they
that
could
can really run
handle
the
a
ball.
big offensive line like a
Yeah,
monster team.
I think that's right. So Vanderbilt, we talked about this game against Texas. They
Mhm.
almost pulled it
Already
out, but
talked.
Texas gets the big win, and that was really impressive. So I don't think we have to dive too much more into that. I
No.
will say Wisner, though, was probably his best running game of the season. I was really wondering where the Texas running game was. It's nice to see
At
him
the end
get
of the
going.
day, I was very impressed with the quarterback play on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Texas's defense is legitimate.
It's a really, really fun game to watch. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good.
Javi
And
is great.
Pavia has that never quit
Yep,
guts. He reminds me of Max Dugan. Remember that guy?
that's right.
You
Yes.
know, he
So
reminds me of that. Just yeah,
this game, SMU wins in overtime against Miami, and of course, Beck had that really bad interception across the middle in overtime, which really killed
yep,
their chances. And all I
yep,
can do is tip my hat to Jennings. He just looked fantastic. We talked about him in the preseason.
yep.
Really, really great quarterback.
I think Beck is a good quarterback. It wasn't his best day. So
Yeah. Losing 2 out of 3 is not what you want when you're trying to stay in the top 10.
no.
Notre Dame struggles with Boston College. It was only 12-7 at
It's
half.
tough.
BC really was playing well. They played good defense. They ran the ball well. CJ Carr kind of got it going a little bit in the second half. And then
Hmm.
Jeremiah Love had one of the nicest long runs of the
Yep.
entire year. He had an 82-yarder
He
to
was the
kind of
difference in the game.
seal it. Yeah. Yeah, he's really great.
He had
So
136 yards and 2 touchdowns.
any concerns about Notre Dame here struggling with Boston College, or just they were on the road and took them a while to get it
Really?
going?
Not really. I think your only concern is having a freshman quarterback going into the playoff environment is going to be scary.
Hmm.
But that's true for Ohio State. So
Yeah.
uh, it's not unique or anything, but it is not ideal.
Hmm.
But it bodes well for the future.
The other thing I saw them do in the second half, Notre Dame, was they did impose their will on Boston College's offense. Their defense kind of took over,
Yeah,
especially the
six
defensive
sacks.
line. Yeah.
They got 6 sacks. It kind of they took control of the game slowly,
Mhm.
physically. They just
Mhm.
physically manhandled them eventually. But Boston College fought and kept it tight.
This game was wild. You have Kansas
Yeah,
State always plays Texas Tech really tough, and this year they did not. Texas
yeah.
Tech has been really angry since they lost that game 2 weeks ago, and
You could feel the anger and the
man,
frustration.
they are so good, man. Texas Tech
I don't know.
is so good. This kid
They're
Morton is
very good. I think that they were getting a little overrated, and now they're trying to make a statement that they're underrated. I think
Mhm.
they're trying to say that we're better than 13.
You
We're
think that's what it
maybe
is? You think
8 or
they're
10.
blasting people to try to get back into it? Is that why they're doing it?
Yeah, on
Yeah.
some level, they are mentally saying we want to show people that we are a top tier team,
Yeah.
and we're not just some secondary Texas team.
I think you're right. 100%.
I
That was
think
a
they're probably around. They should be around number 10, maybe.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
nine,
they're the
10.
second best team in Texas.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
we talked about this Oklahoma-Tennessee game. Any other things you'd point out here? I think Aguilar had a pretty good game.
yeah. He
Um,
looked good. Um, not much
Mateer.
to report. It was a slugfest, and
Mhm.
I think Oklahoma has really gotten better again. They're kind of back.
I wasn't really sure they could do this on the road in Tennessee. Tennessee's a very hard place to play.
Yeah, it
110,000.
is. Yeah, I know. It's
The
insane.
fact
That's a huge stadium.
this is their best win of the year.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah. Tennessee gets knocked out. Virginia wins again, this time on the
Mhm.
road in California in Berkeley. And California came in 5-3 into this game. They're a pretty good team. They actually have some nice weapons. They've got a
Yeah, yeah.
freshman
They've had
quarterback.
some good games this year.
Yeah. And Virginia found a way to get this one done. Again, I think largely on the back of their defense. I've been really impressed with Virginia's
Very
defense
much.
the last couple of weeks. and their defense has largely been carrying their offense. And
A couple of these close games where Virginia offense is outplayed by the other team's offense, but the defense comes up with huge either pick six or big stop with turnover, and or Cam Ross taking a punt back or something. Like, it takes more than just the offensive effort to get enough points to do some of these wins.
I also thought Jamari Taylor ran particularly well in this game. He really looked fresh.
He ran hard between the tackles, and he got some real tough. He had some really tough short yardage runs to score. Even though he did have 105 yards, a lot of them were 4 yards in a pile of dust.
And then Morris was a little more accurate than he was those 2 weeks. He was really off.
He looked better. He looked healthy. He
Yep.
looked like he could get the ball to go where he wanted it instead of trying to sling it with a half-detached shoulder or whatever.
It didn't look like he was favoring his left shoulder at all, and he actually made some big runs in this game to get first downs. So that was nice to see. So,
yeah,
it was a big
Virginia
win for
got some pressure. They got some pressure. They got 3 sacks, got some pressure on Cal, and they definitely had a very, very important interception return for a touchdown. And did you see him go to the cheerleaders?
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
He got the pick and he ran up to the this was who was it? Cam
Robinson,
our best player.
Yep.
Virginia's best player. He intercepted the ball and then ran to the opposing cheerleaders, and he started talking to one of the girls, one of the cheerleaders. It's hilarious. It was a total boss move.
It's interesting because when we started our 6-game winning streak, I said I would wear this sweatshirt that I have on tonight until we lose. And so this is the 6th week in a row for this episode that we're doing that I've had this sweatshirt on. So I'm going to keep wearing it until we lose. So Louisville takes on Virginia Tech. They really struggled against Virginia Tech in the first half in this game. And we're down 16-7 at halftime, and it was not looking very good. And then they got the running game going, and Brown went off in the second half. And they really kind of imposed their will, and clearly are the better team. Thoughts about this one? And
overall impression, it looked to me like Louisville was more athletic and faster, and it looked to me like Virginia Tech was more powerful. And there were times where Virginia Tech was getting physically dominating Louisville, but Louisville's skill players were fast. They're blazing, so 100%. It looked like speed versus power.
And it looked like Miller Moss and Brown took over in the second half. And this kid Bell, we talked about, he had 8 catches again. This guy's really good receiver.
I love the guy. Yeah. If I could pick him first round, I would.
I want him to transfer to Virginia next year.
Oh,
man, he's good. So this was the other one we talked about. This really was a playoff game. Whoever won this game was in good position in the Big 12, and whoever lost was kind of out. And so that's what ended up happening. Unfortunately for Cincinnati, they went into Utah and they got absolutely blitzed by Whittingham and his boys. So this kid, though, Sorsby for Cincinnati, is a pretty good quarterback. He just had a bad day.
Very good. Yeah, and they're a good team, but I think they were getting a little overrated. So this is probably a blessing for them because Utah is probably better than 24.
They say Sorsby's going to be drafted kind of late rounds. But if you think about the kind of day he had, he'd been doing so well. And then this day he was 11 for 33. Like, you just don't see that. That's the kind of day he had. So
I know.
It was unfortunate. Michigan takes care of Purdue. I don't think there's anything really huge there. I think Underwood had a nice, efficient day.
It was okay. I think it was a little disappointing for Michigan, but they'll take the win for sure.
This game was just head-scratching. Houston had everything to play for. They were at home. They have a just okay West Virginia team come in, and they beat them on their home field, 45-35.
Houston's crazy.
Looked non-existent. They were just Swiss cheese all day.
I know. West Virginia's defense played well with a pick 6.
So I have to wonder if Houston was maybe looking ahead to a game in the future or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
They didn't seem like they were there. And then in the second half, we're trying to catch up. Just couldn't get it done. So kind of blew that one. USC barely squeaks out a win against Nebraska. This was kind of a battle of two really good coaches, and USC trying to stay in contention. Mayava made just enough plays, including with his legs, but didn't really throw the ball very much. And there really wasn't a lot of offense in this game. It was really kind of a
It was
defensive
pretty
battle.
good defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of running the ball on both sides. And USC stays in contention, and Nebraska takes the loss. So Nebraska's
Yeah.
awesome.
Maeva did not do much. 9 of
No,
23. 9 of 23. But
it's one of those games where if you like offense, you didn't like that game.
yeah,
This
it was
next
ugly.
game, Duke goes into Death Valley and beats Clemson, and it was just an unbelievable game. If you like offense, this is it. And they kept going back and forth. There was 10 lead changes in this game.
Yeah.
Both quarterbacks played particularly well, and Duke scores with 33 seconds left and decides to go for the two-point conversion, kind of like Bill Belichick. And this time they made it. They get the two-pointer and they win it on the road, which I don't blame them doing that on the road. I was surprised that Belichick did.
That's the thing I always say, do it on the road, but at home you'll take longer a longer game. You'll take the extra point when it's a home.
So the nightmare season for Clemson continues, and Duke is right in the thick of things in the ACC. Matter of fact, we've got them coming up in 2 weeks. Virginia does. So
yeah, it's gonna be tough.
They're a dangerous team. I'm telling you.
Yeah, they are.
Pittsburgh continues to play great. This Heitschel guy, you and I talked about him last week. He's really good quarterback. And they just took care of business against Stanford. They just keep winning. So they're right in the mix.
I watched a lot of this game. They spanked them.
They're in third place in the ACC now. They're right in the mix.
Yeah, they look like they're a top-tier ACC team.
This was maybe the most surprising game in the ACC. Not that Florida State won. I thought they would, but 42-7 against a really tough Wake team that usually causes everyone fits. And Castellanos had a really good game. Singleton, Robinson, they're a really great receiver.
You could tell a lot by Castellanos' post game about how much they're fighting for Norvell's job.
Yes.
They said that he has stayed positive. They've relied on him. They trust him. He's been a super powerful, positive force in the locker room when there's been a lot of second guessing and a lot of hand wringing and finger pointing and all this stuff in their direction.
100%.
And Norvell is always the same every day, consistently taking the heat, positive, wants his leaders to step up. And so basically, Castellanos is begging for Norvell's job.
Didn't it feel like not only that, but also felt like an anger win for them because they've just been so disappointing this year?
They're so sick of hearing about how they're going to fire their coach that they like, you know?
This is crazy that in week 9 they got their first ACC win. It's pretty crazy. You think about it. Final game we'll review is Illinois gets back on the winning track, beats Rutgers pretty comfortably. Altmaier, really good game. They could run the ball, played really solid defense, kind of stifled Rutgers all day. Anything you take from this one?
Illinois has been one of my two most surprising teams this year of how they're kind of mediocre, even though I feel like they're a really good team. I feel like they've had some disappointing games, along with Florida. Florida and Illinois have been the two that have surprised me to the negative, I mean. And it's not surprising that this team goes off, when they kind of get their head on straight.
The cool thing for Illinois is that, yes, they're out of the playoff contention, but they are now bowl eligible, which is a huge deal for them.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. They can have a better season next year.
So looking at your AP top 25, goes Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia. And then you got Oregon, Ole Miss, BYU, Texas Tech, Notre Dame, and you got Virginia sitting at 12, just behind Oklahoma. So pretty incredible there. Any surprises? Or
I think Virginia's a little too high there, but I'm loving it.
I mean, Robbie, we're above Texas.
I know, yeah. We're above Texas. We're above
This was amazing to see that the coaches poll for the first time was almost exactly the same as the AP poll, except for they had Virginia at 11. So
yeah, nope.
Yeah, but no surprises for me here. I think those are your top 3 teams for sure.
I was talking to a Carolina fan, a friend of mine, and I said, I don't really like how much, I love how much we've been winning, but it's making me nervous how high we're rising. And he goes,
Mhm.
oh, you always want that problem. I'm like, I'd rather have expectations closer to reality
Although
than,
you got to be in that 12 range if you're going to try to make the playoffs. So,
I don't know. But I had no visions of the playoff this year, so I don't know what we're doing, but I love it, but it also makes me really nervous because I don't
yeah,
want to go there and lose by 50 points or something, you
I
know,
know. I
on
know.
national television. And then all these recruits would be like, I don't know.
Well, I'm absolutely loving it. Our winners of the week: Ohio State, Indiana, Utah, Oklahoma,
Hmm.
Virginia keeps
Hmm.
winning 8-1, and then
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah.
Texas had a huge win. So no problems with those.
No,
Losers, you got Tennessee got knocked out of the playoff. You got Miami got knocked out of the playoff. Georgia Tech is on life support. They don't control their destiny anymore. Vanderbilt got knocked out. Cincinnati got knocked out. And Houston got knocked out. So you had 5 teams get knocked out and one that's on life support. So all those guys are really sad fan bases right
I'm
now.
not sure I'd put Vandy in there because that was a really tough game, but I
It
mean,
was
yeah, the list
only because
all
it,
right.
they really had to have that game.
Yeah.
So let's talk about our college basketball AP top 25 preseason. Got Purdue up top with Houston, Florida, UConn, and St. John's. It looked like exactly as they finished last year, pretty much. And then you got Duke at 6. They're the first ACC team, and then you can see down below there's some other ACC teams. Virginia not in the top 25. Thoughts about
Not
this, and
surprising.
what are you most excited about for college basketball?
There's some new coaches in the ACC, which is exciting to see how the programs, react to their new recruiting people and
Mhm.
all that. I think it's gonna be a really exciting. I think it's really wide open this year. I think it's
I
really
think
wide
so too.
open. I think there's a lot of opportunity for teams with the transfer portal raging away to make some quick steps into the limelight and
Hmm.
go from being mediocre to good really quickly, and also
Hmm.
good to mediocre really quickly. So,
Any
but yeah,
surprise? Only 3 ACC teams in the top 25. Does that surprise you at
no,
all?
no, because they've been down a little the last few years.
Yeah.
But no, not as of right now. This is a very meaningless poll. In fact, almost anything that happens before Christmas for me is a little bit insignificant, but it's
Especially in
laying
college
foundation.
basketball. Yeah.
Yeah, in college
Yeah.
basketball.
Yeah.
It's laying foundations for the progress you're gonna make in January,
That's
February.
right.
But before Christmas, it's almost like 2 seasons.
I am
This is
super
like the
pumped for this.
it's almost like before Christmas to me is the preseason, and then after Christmas is the real season. That's what it
We
feels
got,
like to me.
guys, we'll report back to you next week and tell you what some of the results are. Subscriber challenge. Which team is number 3 in college football, Robbie? What do you think?
Which team is number 3?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, A&M.
not in the poll, but who do you think is the third best team?
A&M.
I think it's A&M too. I do.
And then Oregon and Alabama are next. I'm not sure which order there.
I think Oregon's 4, just for me personally. I think
Oregon and
Oregon could be
Alabama are
one.
right there, 4 and 5.
Yeah,
And
I think
then
so.
Georgia and then Ole Miss.
So our second question is best coach in college football. Kirby Smart. You got Ryan Day. You got Dan Lanning. You got Kurt Signetti. You got Whittingham with Utah, and you got Elko with Texas A&M. Or
I
is it
say it
somebody
goes
else?
Signetti, Lanning, Elko.
Okay. I could go with that. I think for me it's Lanning. I really think he's the best coach right now. But I think Signetti has risen up into that top 3. But I'm going to go with Lanning as the
Signetti
best coach.
doesn't have 5-star players,
Yeah,
and
that's
he's
true.
got 5-star player filled teams afraid of him. So
I mean, he's definitely in that rarefied era of coaches now. There's no question about
he says I don't just beat top 25 teams, I pummel them.
it.
So
I know.
that's what he
I know.
says. You know what I mean?
You know.
Like, and he means it. He means every word of it.
Guys, drop us a comment who you think is the best coach in college football. We want to hear from you. All right, Robbie, what are you looking for, man, going into week 10? There's 3 games left. There's all
Whoever
these
cannot
teams.
whoever cannot mess up the the trajectory that they're on. Like,
Doesn't it feel like that? I mean, like a team
yeah,
like Virginia, it feels like,
yeah,
they got 3 winnable games on their schedule, but
yeah.
doesn't mean they'll win them all. But
Yeah.
everybody's like that, right? Everyone's who's sitting there in that top 10, they want to keep going.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the way I look at it too.
Me exciting, man.
It
I'm a
is.
little nervous about Virginia getting into the playoff. I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but a little part of me is going to be okay with them losing somewhere along the line and not making it, because I just think they're going to get
No, I want to
crushed.
go.
I
I
want
want
to
to go.
go, but I really I want to go when the program's had time to like plant some roots,
Yeah.
and I think this came on a little fast.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us this week for our on-campus review. And enjoy the week of college football. Enjoy college basketball. That's going to be so much fun.
I'm
And
excited for Ohio State, Indiana. If we can have that as the final, please. That'll be so good for the whole country and
well,
the Midwest, and it'll just be super exciting.
I'm for
But if we
Indiana.
don't have that, it's because somebody jumped up there and knocked them off, and that's fine. But
My first team is Virginia, and then I want Indiana after that. So,
yeah,
guys, we'll see you next time on the Sports Guys. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you.
thanks
Have a
for
good one.
joining us.